Hi there and welcome again. So I have here two PC cases and both are ITX cases. Now this is where my old build is. This is the Hyte Revolt 3. The unfortunate thing about this though is that while it has a bigger liters, 18 liters, it can't actually fit my gaming Z Trio from MSI, which is 6800 XTX. And can you believe that while this can't fit that graphics card, this one can? Absolutely bizarre and amazing. This can only carry 10.8 liters. However, this can't. Now, this Hyte Revolt 3 is actually an amazing case, at least in my opinion. It's a very well built case. It's another problem I have with this is that in it by itself is already heavy. I can I can say that this with nothing inside of it, this doesn't have any motherboard or anything, but this one has. I can say that they're almost the same in weight. Now, I don't have any weighing scale that I can pinpoint the exact measurements, but at least by the feel, they're relatively the same. But because the other one has smaller footprint, it doesn't make sense that they're just as heavy given that this one already has many things. But that just shows you how well built this Hyte Revolt 3 case is. Now, the good thing about this case is that it's actually easy to customize in a way. When you want to open up stuff, you can just like take out the panel. It's toolless. And you can just put it in and you're good. That is also true with the other side and the back side, except for the front, which has screws. But given that in some cases you don't actually need to remove this unless you have a very long and very big GPU that it's hard for you to put it in, then probably you'd want to open this, but otherwise it's fine as it is. The main reason I got this case really is, besides the looks, is because it has a handle. The use case for this PC is supposed to be something that I can use or carry while I go home to my parents' house, and something that I can carry back here. So if my girl comes over, then she can use this for us to play. But aside that it's heavy, really what I said earlier is that it can't put my GPU. Now the problem has something to do with this front. The shroud of the 6800 XT has like a weird triangular shape that I'm unable to fit it here. I could do some tricks, but I don't want to do it. That's why I just let go. And also, you can fit in here forcefully two slim 80mm fans. But then again, it only officially supports one, which is awkward because you literally can put two. So that's one weird aspect of this case. So anyway, this is the S400 case, and given that my old case is the Hyte Revolt 3 in white, I think it's just proper for me to transfer it from white case to another. And besides, my main PC is in black, so I have an NZXT H6 Flow, and I'm using Chromax Black Noctua fans all over. So it's just like a very all black build. So I went with white just so there's a difference. And besides, I think it's just proper if I want to make a couple PC build, then mine's white and hers black, or the other way around. And yeah, I think it just looks good. Another thing that I have to mention, the difference between the white and the black version, is that the screws that they use for here is this color. So you might say, okay, what's the point? In the black version, they use like black coated screws, so it just fits the theme and it stays relatively the same across the board. But of course, it doesn't come without problems. As a matter of fact, I have a scratch here, okay? And some fewer scratches here might not show up in the camera, but there are. So If it's something that bothers you, then you might not like this. Also, there are some people that asks or are curious about the stability of these handles. Will they last? Some people say that this will eventually, you know, get wrecked. However, as far as I'm concerned, I always carry this with a support just so I don't put all the stress, but it's already stressed, as I can say. Oh, also, they didn't use a white version for the handle that you might think they might, and I think that's okay. I think black as a handle instead of a white leather on top is a bit overkill. But yeah, this looks good. And also, it comes with a magnetic filter that you put underneath, but as expected, it doesn't hold up because most magnetic filters are almost always being put in tops of PC cases, not in the bottom. Most PC cases that have any filters or removable filters at the bottom are slid into, but not magnetic, because they know magnetic ones won't hold up. That's just the way it is. Gravity. Gravity is stronger. Okay, you probably it can't move once you secure it and slowly put it down. Then it won't come down. However, okay, kind of secure, not gonna lie. I was proven incorrect. But anyway, it's something that will fall down if you carry it around. So something to be wary about. Anyway, the point of my video is really, I will open this up and I will show you how I do stuff. And yes, I have this in my hand. And this is the 5700X 3D. I bought it simply because when I tried this with my 6800 XT, and this has the 5600 Ryzen 5, and I played in 2K, the FPS that I'm getting in PoE2 is just 30. Now, context, I'm playing at 4K using the same card, but using my Ryzen 5 7600. And with that, with frame gen of FSR2, I can get about 100 at max and average about 80 plus. That's on 4K. So for me, scaling down, I expected some bump in performance or FPS, but I kept getting 30, and 30 is the max FPS I got. So definitely CPU is the bottleneck, because when I check the utilization of my GPU, it's barely half, I think. So definitely it's on the CPU. Hence, I'm changing this. And for the 5600, I probably will put this chip on my girl's PC because she has problems in hers and I don't know why. So that's what I'll figure out. So yeah, let's open this up. One thing about this PC case is that it doesn't have thumb screws, which could help, but if they use thumb screws, I think it will be an eyesore instead, because this case is minimalist. I guess it will work in larger PC cases, but thumb screws in these might not work, but I know it's convenient, so yeah. So anyway, opening this up is as easy as screwing these two down. The panel slides out. And just so you know, these are curved, so there's actually space inside. So if you're worried that this fan is out of the frame, it actually has space because of this design. So don't have to worry. This one supports up to 67mm in height, which is exactly this. This is the AXP 120X67 from Thermalright. And now that I think about it, since it's white, it can actually look good, at least in my opinion, when it has RGB. But anyway, the cable management is not top tier, but for as long as it works, I guess it's fine. And not gonna lie, For these scenarios, having more cables makes it easier to tidy up rather than this that there's a lot of empty spaces. So, but I'll redo that because I actually have a, okay, I have the filter still. So I have an SSD, which this is not mounted here. I just put it there because why not? I can put it there. And this can support fan underneath, they say, but now that I think about it, how can it support? This one. These are the mounting screws for low profile 80 millimeter, but or 90 millimeter. I forgot. But anyway, I will put that in here because this is actually an SSD inside orientation, and I will put another. And actually, you can put in 3. And probably you can put more here. So if you're worried about SSD or mounting SSDs in this case, while it's not officially supported, you can put it there. Moment of truth. At least so far it doesn't smell. Okay, the GPU is spinning. Now in my trials of, yeah, this happens. And then it turns on again. Then it never appears. But let's see. So far nothing is appearing. So I'm not sure whether the source is working. Yeah, it says display port. See, new CPU installed. Okay, we want to reset because we transferred the 5600 and now use the 5700X 3D. Now you can't see my screen, but that's what it says. Let's see if the rest of the settings remain the same. BIOS has been reset. Yep. So XMP disabled. Profile 2. Okay, profile 1 is the one. And easy mode. Is there advanced mode? I'll just make sure that my PbO2 is enabled. Cool and quiet, I'll disable this. I can't seem to see PbO2 here. I'm not sure where it is. Is it AMD overclocking? SOC Encore mode, OC mode? What the hell is that? I don't know. I don't want to touch that. Not unless it says PBO2. CPU common options. I really can't see core performance boost. Performance, okay. DF common options, UMC, NBIO, XF4 enhancements. Okay, that's precision overdrive enabled. Okay, that's it. I know should be enabled. So NBIO common options. Okay. No. F10. So we enabled XMP profile 1, which turns the memory clock speeds to 3600. I disabled cooling quiet function, and I enabled PBO. I don't know the difference between auto and enabled, but I know in my AM5 platform, I meticulously kinda did a guide. Now it runs stable 5.2. Kinda stable in a sense that it does not restart. So it just reached 5.2 when it wants to. Actually, I think even if you don't touch it, it will just try to, boost itself as much as it can. That is the nature of AM5 platform. But for AM4, it doesn't do that. But I think they can do that with at least the 5 series, which is, for some reason, is the 4th gen of AMD, but it's named 5. So, okay. Now, I'm able to log in, so that's cool. Now this is currently turned on, so I'm just waiting for it to boot. Then I will do a performance test. And all the panels are closed. It's funny how it runs hot now. It really does run hot. So let's open HW monitor. The fans are loud. Not gonna lie, it's quite loud. Louder than what I'm comfortable with. Yes, 2000 RPM for the CPU. Now it's slowly going down. It's now settling down. Wow. Even the temps of the VRM or the TM pin too is high. It's at 68. The highest temp is the CCD, which is 71. Okay, interesting. But now it's around 50, but yeah, of course, we have to gain. Path of XL2. Overall, everything looks good, so I modified my fan curves because it's way too aggressive. Look at the name, GPU aggressive. Now, of course, this is for another case, but for this, it's too loud. So it's trying to ramp up as fast or as aggressive as it can when in fact it doesn't have to. So I tweaked it. It's still not the best. I can do better than that for sure, but the max temp so far is 76 for the CPU. Actually, that's what I'm worried. But since the CPU can now push comfortably my GPU, the GPU becomes now like the one that is really getting pushed. So the hottest that it has been is 84. Now here in the Philippines, of course, the ambient temperature is around 30. So figure. Okay, so 84 is acceptable. Actually, in my 4K gaming, it reaches 96 at hotspots. So given that it's 84, that is actually good for me. Now the noise for that case in 96 isn't the same with here. For an ITX case, I think this is pretty fine and expected, but comparing the two, this is more loud that I'm comfortable with. So anyway, these are the graphs. So this is while I'm playing and while I'm tweaking and while I'm playing. So as you can see, it hit this mark, which is the 86, but after trying to optimize the fan curves, I was able to make it work significantly well, to the point that it doesn't have much spikes, because what's happening here is when I play, it ramps up, too loud, goes down. Then the fan ramps up again, too loud, and then cools down, and then goes back. So it's too aggressive, it has way too many sharp curves, and I just smoothen it out. So there is still room for improvement for sure that I will try to figure out. But yeah, so far this is how it looks like. And since my monitor can only push 100 Hertz, it's the max FPS that I am getting in this monitor. But I'm pretty sure when I test it at home, which I have a 2K panel with 180 Hertz, once I overdrive, they call it, but it's overclock. I think I'm able to push this further, and I think it will be noisier, but I'm just trying to optimize it so that the noise isn't as hard as it is when I play. So that's it. Now for the learnings. Now let's start with the 5700X 3D. It is a good chip. It definitely removed my bottleneck. And I actually thought that, oh no, it's a X3D chip, and also 8 cores, 16 threads, therefore it runs hot. It runs hotter because my 5600 runs around 66 max. And this runs 76, which is still within like good. So it's not the CPU that runs hot, but rather my GPU, which in 4K it reaches 96. It's still good. At least it's the hotspot, not the die, so it's still within the range, and it doesn't sound as loud when I put it in my ATX case compared to this, because this, as you've seen in the graph, only runs as hot as 86 hotspot already. So that's 10-degree difference. However, this is way louder. So what happens here is, one, the fans. So I have a set of custom fan curves wherein the top fans, which are P12 slims, will run fast when either the CPU or GPU runs hot. So what happens is, when the GPU becomes hot, it runs fast, but it runs way too fast that it cools it down quickly, way too low, to the point it gets quiet. However, as soon as it gets quiet, it runs hot again, therefore it runs fast again, therefore it becomes loud. So it's sharp. So I had to set the fan curves kinda smoother. Now it's smoother, but then again, I'm playing only in a 100 Hertz panel. That panel, that ultra wide, is only 100 Hertz, therefore pushes only 100 Hertz. What more at my parents' house, where I have a 2K panel, IPS, 180 Hertz once overclock. So that's the time I will be able to test it thoroughly and set my custom fan curves in a very optimized manner. And hopefully I can do it right, because while I admittedly am not sensitive against noise, this will definitely get to me because it's way too loud. Like, way too loud. But at my latest configuration, its loudness is already fine. It can still be improved based on the graph, so I'm hoping I can fix that. But then again, I can only fix it at my parents' house, not here. So I'll do it there instead. So yeah. Now, as for my learnings of the case. So this PCIe extension cable is supposedly screwed in here in place, And initially, when I first tried to put my GPU, it's actually pre-secured here. But it's hard to put it in, so I just unsecured it and like put the graphics card and then slot it in and then try to secure it. It's easier, but not really. So now I don't bother securing it because it will work either way. So what happens here is that since this cables, okay, even if I try to lay it flat, there's still some centimeters that will push it in on top of the case, the panel. And since my card is a bit thicker, wider actually, I I have a difficulty putting it in. So my card is slightly bent like this, because there's cables here. So the flatter it is here, the better it is for me to secure things. Therefore, it will be easier for me to secure things here. I can secure this, the back slot, which is, I guess, more important than this because, again, you don't need to secure this, okay? It won't do shit. For as long as it's attached properly, I'll be fine. Actually, this is already broken. I just put it in. This just does nothing, absolutely. Anyway, yeah, that's my learnings for here. So another is this. I probably need an extension cable where it's really thin to the point that I can do a 90-degree bend, so this won't be much of a problem. Yes, even though this is flat, I can say flat. It's not as flat as I think it should be when I put my card. So yeah, I'll try to find one. And yeah, apart from here, everything else here looks good already. Especially in the CPU front. Yeah. Speaking of which, this bulges, okay? I think I need to secure this. The reason it bulges is because of this one, which is the ATX. The motherboard pins is bulging like this. So I need to just push it in. Now I can force it so that it doesn't bulge, but eventually it might bend the panel and I don't want that to happen. So I would just secure it with cable ties and I'll be fine. And I've already secured my SSD here, so it's fine. Doesn't look bad. And I don't have much cables here anyway, so I'm fine. And yeah, everything looks good except the GPU side. So yeah. And last but not the least, what do I do with this shit? No, actually, this is good. This is the 5600. This is still a good chip. And in my girl's PC, it has 2600. While it is enough for Valorant needs, it can run 200 frames per second. In her config, it should, but she is not able to run it right now. And I'm not so sure why, so I'll fix that up. Anyway, I don't know if I can make a video of it, but yeah. But I will change its processor to this. Now, her laptop is actually 8750H Intel and runs 4.1 gigahertz max boost and 6 core 12 threads, even though an i7. So it's better than the Ryzen 5 2600, obviously. However, that one, the Intel one, runs hotter. Now, I want her to receive like an upgrade. Well, definitely her GPU is a 1080 Ti. It's way better than the 2060. The 2060 is a mobile version, so you can say it's just a 1050 or 1060 in essence. So yeah, a 1080 Ti is definitely an upgrade. And it's way quieter than her laptop, obviously. So I just want her to use this so she can actually gain a lot. This is what, 5.5 or 5.4 gigahertz max boost. So that's 300 hertz better and has a lot of IPC gains. So definitely her FPS will like increase. I expect minimum 200. Minimum, and that's minimum, like probably even like low 1%. So I don't know, I'll test it out. Again, I don't know if I can make a video about it, but that's it. So Hope you enjoyed.